Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about two different federal judges in D.C. Taking account of Trump's election and the possibility that he will pardon January 6th defendants in their trial scheduling. Let's put this in context. We have had throughout this court, in some ways more broadly than this court, focus or attempted focus, usually by Trump, on the election coming up, and pretty steadfastly, with the exception of Eileen Cannon, the courts have balked and said no. You had special counsel Jack Smith sort of tiptoe up to whether to take account of the timeline, and that obviously meant the election, but he never actually pulled the trigger on it. And Judge Chutkan has been the paradigm of the judge who would say, this is not our business. Our business is trying cases. I'm going to try cases and put on blinders about the political context outside. And since Trump's victory, there have been multiple efforts by different defendants to say, oh, I'm going to get pardoned now, or everything's changed, and you should now adjust things accordingly. Those efforts to date had failed. Judge Paul Friedman on the D.C. District Court, senior judge, Judge Christopher Cooper, had both issued very curt and decisive orders saying, maybe you'll get a pardon after Trump becomes president. That's not our lookout. Our lookout is just setting a schedule and going forward. But now we have a breach there with two judges, an Obama appointee and a Trump appointee. The Obama appointee, we just have a sort of account of what was done. We don't have a transcript, but a defendant, pro se defendant, Paul Pope, said, I could get a pardon. This could change everything. My December 2nd, 2 weeks from now, trial should be put off. And Contreras did that yesterday. We don't know the details because there's no written order, and it's just been entered on the docket. Pope himself said that Contreras was agreed to the notion, well, why waste judicial resources and call in all people to serve if the guy's going to get a pardon anyway? But if you think about that for a moment, that's a really funky and I think inappropriate kind of focus on the essentially political process of a pardon, and here just the speculation that it could occur, using it to put things off. So that is quite a blink. Also, a Trump appointee, Judge Nichols, had before him yesterday a motion to set a trial. And Nichols himself, in the Pope case, Pope had filed pro se these papers. Everything's changed now. The American people have rendered their verdict, etc. In the Nichols case, Nichols actually brings it up to the prosecutor, said, well, can you promise me that the guy's not going to be pardoned and that you can really, this won't be a waste of time? Well, of course not. And the argument that leads to ought to be, you would think, as it has been for Friedman and Cooper and everyone else, is we do our job, and the possibility of a political override, which is essentially what a pardon is, doesn't make us stay our hand. But nevertheless, Nichols sets trial date in the spring to let the pardon process play its course. Now, in general, the dynamic in criminal cases, defendants want to delay things. Just always better. You stay out of jail. Things could happen to evidence. There could be legal developments. There's always that kind of wrestling. And it's happened here with remember what we're talking about, the biggest DOJ case investigation and set of cases ever, some 950 defendants to date and growing. And just in general, a consensus, a kind of national consensus, and certainly a strong position within the DOJ that this marauding and insurrection and violence to officials and attempted violence to members of Congress had to be responded to in the strongest possible terms. That notion now, that very notion seems to be vulnerable. You had a emphatic statement from Marjorie Taylor Greene yesterday saying Trump needs to pardon all the January 6 defendants. It was all politicized, that she's spoken with Trump quite a bit. She hopes he will. Trump himself has made it clear on the campaign trail he'll pardon some. As I've suggested before, it's kind of a pickle to figure out how you pardon some of these miscreants and not others, and we'll see what happens. But it's a noteworthy and I would say worrisome development that judges in the DC court managing still this biggest of all cases that has to continue in some fashion, even in just their supervision after conviction, are already kind of not looking with one eye toward the January 20th next administration and the prospect that Trump will pardon. That's just going down that route is, besides rawly speculative, it seems to be injecting the political process into what to date, at least in the case of the 950 defendants, has been run pretty much by the book by all the DC district court judges. So that blink by two different judges is worth underscoring and just perhaps a harbinger of things to come. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.